Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self love, self care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today, we're going to talk about delayed gratification. I'm your girl, Lady Bounce.
And I am Picket Fence. Today's Mindfulness Minute. We live in a society that knows nothing of delayed gratification. We get caught up in the expectations that everything we need and ask for will happen immediately. But we must be grateful. We must be mindful of mindful of the bounty we have. And we must find our important lessons inside ourselves. We are blessed and privileged to have time for reflection and growth. Word up.
Word up. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I like that too. Cause even us being on a journey of self care, there's a lot of times that you want something immediately. Especially something that you've been wanting or working on. You like, yo, especially from like my experience of lately of working on this album now for I guess 7 months, 7, 8 months, something like that. I'm like, yo, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna come out? Am I gonna get things done? So we I guess get antsy about things, and sometimes it's hard to calm that down. But like the mindfulness minute says, sometimes you just have to pause and just be grateful, especially something like working on the album. Be grateful of the journey, because it's been, even though I'm waiting excited for people to hear it and check it out, it's been fun making it. And I'm grateful for that, especially during this time of making this, like the first time that during a couple of sessions where it was a lot of people there while recording, and that was something different for me, and it was fun. It was like recording at a party. So you got to be, look at it that way, being grateful of the time just making it. It's been dope.
Well, that is a good way to look at it, to shift your perspective. So, since you've shifted your perspective, how is that working for you?
I think that helps calm me down, because I'm still want people to check it out, and because I had goals, deadlines, goals that I'm trying to make still. But I've been telling myself lately, just it'd be done when it's done. I think that when it comes to the thing of albums and stuff, it's all about timing and marketing anyway. And
Right.
I have a pretty good time-based marketing for it. So I'm just a little antsy about that, but if it doesn't make it, it doesn't make it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Again, we'll see. But if it doesn't happen necessarily on your timeline, it will still happen. So the
Yeah.
famous quote is always, delayed is not denied.
Right.
So, you could look at it that way. It may be a
Yeah.
little bit later, and that's okay. If it's more important, to get the music and the message out there than it is the timing, then the timing will always be right for the message.
Yeah, I just have to come up with a different marketing plan for it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
So
you're
yeah.
creative. It'll happen. I think you could do that.
Yeah.
I think so. From my perspective, I work with young people. They don't understand the concept of delayed gratification. They want what they want, and they want it now. I gotta have it now. They seem to think that, oh, I'm going to grow up and make this boatload of money, and I don't have to work for it. It's just gonna come to me because. And I'm like, no, son, no, daughter. You have to put in work, and it's gonna take time. And then they look at me like time is a foreign concept to them. They don't understand, well, why can't I have it now? Because you can't. Because there are things that will happen for you that aren't going to happen right away. And it's best that you learn, in your formative years, that you're going to have to wait. Everything's not going to come, right when you want it. That's just not life. It's not reality. But trying to get these young people to see and understand that is not the reality. It is very trying at times. because they don't understand. When they see us come to work and, we're all driving nice cars, we're not, pushing Porsches and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And they don't understand that. They're like, well, you make all this money as a teacher. First of all, I do not. But I'm like, I still have bills, I still have to live, and I live pretty regular. I live a modest lifestyle. And they don't get that, they don't see that. They're like, they look at the rappers and the celebrities on TV and they think that somehow they're going to instantly have this same life and everything that they want is going to come to them right now, because now is when I want it.
Right.
So how do we, get kids to understand, not just kids, because there's adults that live like this too, but that'll be the second part of the conversation. So how do we get these young people to kind of realize you got to crawl before you walk, and even before you start crawling, you got to put one knee on the floor?
Well, one thing is, I think that we don't teach gratitude as far as to our children, and that's to actually be something I think that should be carried over into schools, is teaching gratitude. Two, I would say we have to start from a very young age of teaching kids the difference between reality and show. Like you said, that they see these rappers and and all this stuff, the rented car. They don't have a concept of these cars are rented for videos. They don't have a concept of 360 deals, which most artists have nowadays who are on major labels. So they may seem like they have a lot of money, but they're paying out even more money, because back in the day, when I first started, trying to break into the industry, you paid percentages on your record deal. But like, say, if you did a show, that's your money. If you were in a movie, that's your money. Now the record companies are signing people to 360s deals, so they're getting a piece of everything you do.
Wow.
So these kids don't know that aspect of the business. Also, we always talk about the program, and it's very hard because us as individuals, we've always taught our kids that, but there's not enough parents doing that. So when it's, say, the very few that are teaching their kids that, when they go out into the world with their peers, that gets outweighed. You know what I mean? So I think that the third thing is really important, to build community of people who are on that same thinking, as far as teaching gratitude, teaching reality-based life, and who also want to build a community that's going to be a better place for all of us. So those would be my three things. I mean, what would you say?
Well, the things that I tell my students are, anything worth having is worth working for. You will appreciate things more when you work for them yourself, because only you will understand the hard work, the blood, sweat, tears, and the dedication that goes into having those things that you really, really want. And then I also work with them. I have a little worksheet that I give them called wants versus needs, so that they get the concept of understanding, yes, you need a car. Do you need a Lamborghini drop top with suicide doors? No, you do not. You do need a place to live. Do you need a 50-room mansion with 20 bathrooms? No, you don't. So what do you really need versus what you want? And let's work towards getting you the things that you need. And then as you get the things that you need, it will put you in a better position to get the things that you want. But we live in a time period where it's buy what you want and beg for what you need. I see lots of people, on Facebook and social media, living their best life, as you say, taking trips. You got the finest drinks, you got all the cute chicks in the video, but your car is in your driveway sitting on bricks. So
or you're going in debt to do that.
Yeah, that was about to be my next point. You're going in debt trying to portray some kind of lifestyle that you really can't afford to live. So you're spending this money to impress other broke people. But why? But like, for what? Like, really and truly. We have this, show off mentality. And I don't know if that's a cultural thing or if
Yeah.
that's a generational thing.
No, I
But like,
think no, that's all. That's been forever. So I think that it's just a cultural thing. Like the old saying way before our time is keeping up with the Joneses. So
right.
that's definitely a cultural thing.
Yeah,
And I
because
mean
Bill
our
Gates
our
looks like he's broke most of the time. When
that
I see
yeah,
him on TV, I'm like, why does he look like a bum?
that's a very good point. Is because the richest of rich people, I'm talking longevity money.
Hmm.
They don't go out and buy all this crazy looking clothes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They rock Dockers and basic edition button ups, basic polo and stuff because um their thinking of money is different, which we've talked about on our show, and we encourage people to really get their financial situation. Holler at our cousin Cotton, he'll get you on the path for that. But he's a philanthropist, so he's able to give so much money because he's not spending money on frivolous things. Now, also, we want to say that it's nothing wrong to want all this nice stuff if that's what you're into, but
Right,
you have to think in a reality base, like, what is it that I could do to even think that I could get this stuff?
right,
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why another thing that I would add to my three that I said earlier is instilling early in kids the value of education. Because a lot of these kids are failing in school, not
yeah,
even really caring about school, but they still have these wild dreams, and you don't have any way to get it. Having education at least gives you a little legway on it. No
right,
education system isn't perfect, and I'm not and not only school. When I'm talking about education, I'm not only talking about school. I'm talking about parents instilling that your kids educate, not just going to school, but there's libraries all over the place. I mean, we've got brand new libraries all over town popping up every day.
yeah. And we all have the
Educate your
internet.
Yeah, and we all have the internet. That's what I'm saying. We talked about that too. What are you using the internet for? You know what I'm saying? It could be a tool. It could be a tool to educate yourself. Um, you might be able to learn about stocks and investing, and then you can have a nice little money to do different things that you want to do. If you're in, like I said, I'm not telling nobody don't get the stuff that you want in life, but the
Right,
problem is that we aren't keeping the kids and children on the reality of what it takes to get that.
right.
So, that's and they live in a world where they talk trash to each other all day. So they don't know how to
Hmm.
talk. They don't know how to talk to people in person.
Right.
They want everything now. They feel like they're owed something,
That part.
and that's why they don't understand getting stuff on a delay. Because everybody's a bully on the internet, and they think they can talk to people, and they want everything right now, and it's just real weird, man. I said this on the show before that I could never say in my time, like people used to say when we were younger, that oh, you kids ain't got it hard, back in my day, Bob. No, because this is a wild world that we live in now. And I think that's what's important about building a community, especially if you have a community of people that are like-minded and have values that you find are dope and align with your spirit, so that your kids can grow up with that. Because when they go out to school and stuff like that, the pressure is going to be so hardcore,
Yeah.
amongst their peers, because there's so many people, even at our age, that we see it all the time, that they try to live through their kids, so they let their kids believe all this
Oh,
wild stuff and do all this wild stuff and look like Thoughticus primes, and it's just it's a wild world, man. I feel sorry for kids. I mean, even our kids are young adults, and they still got a long way to go, and sometimes you worry about it, but you just have to try and keep instilling them, the stuff that we know and stuff we've seen, and stuff like that.
I agree. But I had to laugh about, when you talked about, living through your kids. That's a whole nother show in itself. So we definitely will have to come back and revisit that topic, because what you said right there was real heavy. Like that could be a
Yeah.
show in itself.
Well, definitely. I mean, but yeah, we could definitely talk on that. I think it's just hard because I don't want to be trying to tell people what to do, but I think that that's a problem that we have.
Well,
It's
I don't
definitely a
even
problem we have.
yeah, I don't think it would be so much as us telling people what to do, but more as, let's speak on it, because maybe somebody is out there, doing it and don't realize that they're doing it, or they don't
Yeah.
realize, how to not do that, or how to stop doing that. Like once you've done it for so long, maybe, just maybe, our show helps people. We get emails all the time about, thank you for this or thank you for that. So I think that topic might be, something that could help somebody
Oh
else.
yeah, we could. Yeah, I'm not saying no. We could definitely do it. We could definitely
Right.
do it.
And then we can do it in a nice way without telling people what to.
That's why I laugh because that's why I laugh because I have some hardcore feelings about it, and I don't want to be too hardcore about it. But yeah, we'll do it.
So
We'll do it.
maybe we should do that as a panel show then. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's dope. I think that'd be dope. So if you're watching right now and you would like to talk about people living through their children, hit us up. Hit us up. That would be dope.
yeah, that takes some of the pressure off of you a little bit.
Yeah, word up.
I
So
like
come on, back to what
So
we're
yeah,
talking
so
about.
back
Go
to this
ahead. Go
delayed
ahead.
gratification thing. I use myself in an example when I'm talking to my students or young people in general when I'm talking about this topic. I'm like, there are things that I want, and there are things that I need. There are things that I feel like I deserve, and I know that in order for me to get those things, it's going to take time. For me, because I was kind of raised that way. I was raised in a really big family, so delayed gratification was pretty much all we knew. It was, oh, you needed shoes, but your brother needs shoes, and his shoes are 2 sizes too small. Yours are just a half size too small, so you can wait. We got to take care of his need, or your sister needs this, or whatever it was. So when you come from a big family, like I did, delayed gratification is like, that was common. It was commonplace. Living within our means was commonplace. There are foods to this day that I refuse to eat because I feel like I was traumatized with those foods as a kid, because we were living within our means, because there was so many of us. There was a yours, mine, and ours story, as it related to all of our kids. So our family is very blended. And so sometimes, my older siblings needed something that was, of course, the older kids get, the more expensive the things that they want and need become. So as their needs became more expensive for the younger half of the children, we did have to wait on some things, quite a bit. So having being raised in that way and in that lifestyle, for me, delayed gratification is just commonplace. So when I'm talking to my students about it, I use myself as an example. A lot of times, like, well, there are times I wanted stuff. There are times now as an adult that I want stuff. Like, I want a brand new 2022 SUV sitting in my driveway. But I know that it's not the season for that, in my life right now. So I have to wait. I have a nice car. I'm not walking. So I can work a little harder, do some other things on the side, save up some extra money, to possibly get that nice new car that I want in the driveway. But in the meantime, I think my needs and my wants they change so often that in a week I might not even be thinking about having a brand new car in the driveway. My attention may be on something else that I feel like I need or that I want more than that car. So along with the delayed gratification, it's also prioritizing your needs and your wants. So nobody is saying, don't want those things, but prioritize your wanting them. And, ask yourself, in a week or two, is this really going to be what I still want? Or is this going to be important in a week or two? Because your thoughts change so often.
Yeah, and also you have to think in reality, do you even have the means to get this?
Right.
And I think when we're talking about kids, that's something that we're not teaching kids to, really think in a reality-based thinking. Like I said, they're so caught up in programming mean, they see all this stuff that's not even real anyway, but they think that it's real. So they want that to be their reality. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but what means do you have to make that your reality?
Right.
Especially when we're talking about kids that are not coming to school, don't care about coming to school. Their parents are not showing up to the school. The parents can't even come to school to have a meeting. Parents are not instilling how important it is for them to be educated. And like I said, not just when it comes to school, you should be educating your kids around the clock, and not in a torturous or punishment way, but just showing them, this world that we live in.
Right. There's always that meme that floats around Facebook every so often that irritates my soul, and it talks about all these things that wasn't taught in school and how these kids don't know how to do this or don't know how to do that. And my question is always, why don't you teach your child that? We had the gift and the curse of COVID, where a lot of parents were at home with their kids. Some schools, kept going remotely. Some schools shut down completely. And parents were like scrambling. Well, what do I do? They need to be in school. Well, you turn your kitchen into a school. You teach them how to write a check, how to balance your checkbook. And I know checkbooks are kind of going by the wayside as everything becomes electronic, but you can still teach them how to budget. You could teach them how to pay a bill online. You could teach them how to make a grocery list, how to meal plan. There are so many things that you could have been teaching your child during that time that school could never. School doesn't have enough time to teach all the things that one needs to know to be a successful adult.
Right. And some stuff the school is not responsible for teaching you, like social behavior and social skills. That's not the school's job. That's your job. And not just you, and it shouldn't be a burden that you carry alone. If you need to, like I said before, build with the community that your children have a place that they can learn from other people too.
Yes.
If all you're doing is chilling, hanging out, drinking and smoking, that's your kid's education system right there. And it ain't nothing wrong with partying, because we party with the best of them. But we also made sure that they were around people that they can learn. So, because sometimes it's real hard for you to teach your kids stuff, because a lot of kids, the way that the programming is today, is they don't think that they can learn from you, or they act as if they can't learn from you. So it's important that that community part, to put them around people that sometimes you can't receive it from your mom or dad, but Uncle Cousin Joe, Uncle Cousin Willie, they might relate to them more, and they could be telling them the same thing that you're trying to tell them, but they'll receive it a lot more. So that's really important too, about the community piece of it. But if you're just hanging around mugs that ain't doing nothing, that's what your kids are being educated on doing nothing.
Doing nothing. And sitting around complaining, making it everybody else's fault and problem why I don't have this or why I don't have that. It's up to you to go out and get those things that you want. And realizing that getting those things you want is going to take time.
Yeah. Word up. So that is this week's self-care assignment. Make a list of people that you feel that you can have in your community that will be about building a better world that you live in. And I'm not just talking about your neighbors. I'm talking about scroll through your friends and pick out those people who are beneficial, that you feel that want a better community. We have a good family, and I'm thankful to them, that they are family. When people say blah, 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 Cooley, that's my brother, B, that's my brother. They brothers and sisters are my brothers and sisters. Shout out to Sarah, Catherine, Bridget, Hess, B, Casey, Dustin. We got a good family. If I skipped your name, I'd apologize. But yeah, and I know that they're all people that are trying to better themselves. They're trying to better the community around them. And I love them with all my heart. And that's what you need to do this week. Figure out those people that have those same intentions that you have, and really make sure that you communicate them your feelings on that, and make plans to support each other, help each other with whatever their endeavors are, and people that are cool and safe that you can bring your kids around so that they can learn too, as you are all learning and teaching from each other.
I agree, definitely. So that's
Word
the
up.
self-care assignment, is list your village,
List your
basically.
village. Yeah, word up.
I
And
like
shout out
it.
to Slate too. Shout out to Slate too. I'm trying not to forget anybody, but if I did, I'm sorry.
You
Um,
Yeah, because our village is pretty big. I think the family that we've built is huge, because
yeah,
and everybody serves a different purpose in a different lane, and that is incredible. So it is easy to forget when it's so big. We built a good support network.
yeah, word up. Shout out to Big Bro Shaq too. Yeah, word up. But anyway, let's get into my favorite part of the show. Doom, 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 doom. Brain science, science, science.
All right, so we're talking about delayed gratification. I'm going to give you 5 techniques to improve your delayed gratification. So, how do you attain this skill? It is a skill. It is a skill you have to work at. So, I'm going to give you 5 techniques that you can work on. So, luckily, you can learn how to delay gratification and become better at it over time. Here are 5 ways to help you get better. Understand your values first. If you don't know what you're working towards, how can you make sacrifices for it? That's why it's important to identify your work values and your personal values before you try to become better at delayed gratification. When you know what you're working toward, it's easier to remind yourself or your purpose when you feel tempted. Start with something small. There's no need to start flexing your delayed gratification muscles with something that's years ahead. The delayed gratification for something small should still be delayed, but it shouldn't require you to wait too long. So, not 5 years, maybe 5 months. Start small. How long you should wait depends on your current ability to perform delayed gratification. For instance, if you currently struggle to wait 1 week for a reward, you can start with 1 day. Over time, you can build a habit into your life. If there's nothing specific you need to work towards, build it into your life. Here's another example. Let's say you want to improve your public speaking skills at work. The results of your practice won't come right away. However, you can reward yourself for working on these skills every day by allowing yourself a break with something fun. This could be watching 1 episode or 2 of your favorite TV show. If you don't practice, you can't watch. And then you'll need to wait until tomorrow when you can practice again. You will slowly build up your tolerance over time. Perhaps you can treat yourself to an outing at the spa after a full month of working on your skills. Number 3, use the Seinfeld strategy. The Seinfeld strategy is one of several helpful self-gratification techniques you can use to deter gratification for longer periods of time. Every day that you delay gratification and avoid temptation, you cross it off your calendar. After a few days, this creates a chain. This strategy works well for people who enjoy gamification. If you find it satisfying to keep the chain going, you're less likely to give in to your temptation. So basically, you're making a game out of it. Interrupt your autopilot. Do you find yourself going back to your old temptations without thinking about it? If this is the case, you can practice mindfulness to become more aware of what you do. When you notice yourself doing something out of habit, stop for a moment. Ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Take some time to analyze how you're feeling. Pay attention to the details. Take a moment of mindfulness to interrupt your autopilot every time this happens. The more you practice this, the more you'll break the habit of going for instant gratification. And last but not least, eliminate temptation. If you're still struggling to delay gratification, find ways to eliminate the temptation where you can. For example, let's say you tend to spend money on items you don't need instead of saving. You can make it difficult for yourself to spend that money instead. Set up automatic transfers to a savings account that's difficult for you to access. You can even create this account at a separate bank so you can easily transfer the money back. Start today. Gratification delay matters if you want to work towards long-term goals. Practicing delayed gratification is just one skill needed for your personal growth and professional development. You will learn more about yourself and find ways to find support if you need it.
Word up. Well, this is our show for this week. You can find us wherever you find your favorite podcasts. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. It's your boy Picket Fence.
And I'm your girl, Lady Bounce.
We out of here. Peace.